Right now we've got Sean Murtaugh. He is a CNN producer on the telephone right now. Sean, what can you tell us about what you know?
This is Sean Murtaugh. I just was standing on the Vice President of Finance.
Sean,
Vice President of Finance for CNN.
Sean, we're on the air right now. What can you tell us about this situation?
Hello?
Yes, Sean, you're on the air
Yes,
right
yes.
now. Go ahead. What can you tell us?
I just witnessed a plane that appeared to be cruising slightly lower than normal altitude over New York City, and it appears to have crashed into, I don't know which tower it is, but it hit directly in the middle of one of the World Trade Center towers.
Sean, what kind of plane? Was it a small plane, a jet?
It was a jet. Looked like a two-engine jet, maybe a 737.
You're talking about a large passenger commercial
A large
jet.
passenger commercial jet.
And where were you when you saw this?
I am on the 21st floor of 5 Penn Plaza.
We have something that has happened here at the World Trade Center, Steve.
Did it appear that the plane was having any difficulty flying?
Yes, it did. It was teetering back and forth, wingtip to wingtip. And it looks like it has crashed into probably 20 stories from the top of the World Trade Center, maybe the 80th to 85th floor. There's smoke billowing out of the World Trade Center.
Sean, what happened next? Does it appear to you that the plane is still inside the World Trade Center?
From my angle, I'm viewing south towards the Statue of Liberty and towards the World Trade Center. It looks like it is embedded in the building. I can't see from my vantage point whether it has come out the other side.
Sean, what about on the ground? Or any debris that is hit down there? Can you see
My
anything?
vantage point is too far from the World Trade Center to make any determination of that.
Did you see any smoke, any flames coming out of the engines of that plane?
No, I did not. The plane just was coming in low, and the wingtips tilted back and forth, and then it flattened out. It looks like it's hit at a slight angle into the World Trade Center. I can see flames now coming out the side of the building, and smoke continues to billow.
We also have Don Daler on the phone, and you know he's been with us on Good Morning America for a long time. And Don, where are you, and what do you know?
I am about 4 or 5 blocks just north of the World Trade Center, and at about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, there was a loud sound that I can only describe as it sounded like a missile, not an airplane. Then there was a loud explosion, and immediately lots of screaming out on the streets. And I don't want to cause any speculation, but
Confirm that these are intentional acts. We have another eyewitness on the phone. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Gumbel.
How are you?
I'm fairly frightened, I have to say.
Give me your name, if you would.
My name is Frederick Schneider, sir.
Mr. Schneider, where are you?
I am on Liberty Street, which is the same street that the Trade Center's on. I'm on the south side, and the Trade Center's on the north side. My office is on the 24th floor. So I have a very clear view of exactly what happened this morning, and I've been here for about 2 hours, so I've been watching it unfold.
2 hours?
Yes, I got to my office at 7 this morning.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But tell me about the timetable of when things started to go terribly bad this morning.
Well, Mr. Gumbel, at about 8:50 this morning, there was an explosion. I heard it first, and then my building, which is 51 stories tall, shook and rocked. And then I saw a plume of flame shoot out of the Trade Center over the Hudson River, and then I saw the plane that had crashed into the Trade Center fall down, and then it disappeared behind a building that blocks my view. There was a tremendous amount of smoke, and then it started to rain huge pieces of paper, and the paper continued to come down. At that point, all the news media started to learn about it, and I turned on my radio, and while I was still sitting at my desk, I saw a second jet, fairly large plane, fly in over the south end of Manhattan and deliberately fly directly into the Trade Center before my eyes.
Why do you say deliberately fly into the Trade Center?
Because there was no doubt in my mind that both planes were using the Trade Center as a target. They weren't in trouble. They weren't in distress. They weren't falling from the sky. They aimed for it. And they did a very good job. The Trade Center is torn open. There's a hole in the south side of the Trade Center, torn open from the impact of the plane, which fell into the street below.
Would that be the westernmost of the two towers?
The southernmost of the two towers.
Southernmost of the two towers.
Yes, yes. There's a big gaping hole in it. Flames and smoke have been pouring out since it happened about 5 minutes ago. I'm a little shaken because I saw the plane pass before my eyes. It was just about at my eye level. So.
How close to you?
A block and a half.
You say you saw the first plane fall down.
Yeah.
We're re-racking tape here, by the way, and for I'm speaking to you, Mr. Schneider, but I'm showing tape right here of the second plane boring into the northernmost of the two towers. You say you saw the first plane fall down. What can you tell me about that plane?
Well, I didn't recognize it as a plane at first. It looked to me like a charred piece of metal, and I had thought that there was an explosion from within the Trade Center, so I thought what I was seeing was a piece of the Trade Center falling because the sheath of the Trade Center is metal. But since I've learned that the first explosion was caused by a plane crashing into the tower, I've assumed that what I saw was a piece of fuselage that was falling, and the plume of flame I saw shoot out would be consistent with jet fuel exploding.
So you really have no idea of how large a plane the first one was?
No, I didn't even know that was a plane. I learned that from the news media. But I definitely saw the second plane. I heard its sound, and I saw it streaming in from the south. I watched it crash into the Trade Center.
Can't see the bottom of the base of the buildings.
There's the wider shot of the two towers. Now, both towers have been hit by planes now in the last half hour. And again, I say we are totally powerless in knowing what's going on here, except that it would obviously appear, it can't be a coincidence like this. It would obviously be some sort of a concerted attack against both towers of the World Trade Center. This is again, we're going to show for the third time this tape of the airplane flying in and hitting the World Trade Center. This is slow motion of the plane coming in and hitting the obscured second tower of the World Trade Center. And you can see flame coming out, and I can't see the plane coming down. You know, if it just
Charlie, that's a commercial-sized jet. That did not look like.
No, that's a good-sized airplane. Yes.
Yeah, that's not a little commuter plane. That was a good-sized jet.
And I can't tell if it actually flew into the building or if it just clipped it with a wing. And if it did, of course, then there's the frightening prospect that the plane would have crashed right on the streets of very busy streets of New York.